Right, so some people have asked me to respond to Sunni Defence. Right, so I'm going to give a slight summary and then just respond to them and then move back to some of the questions we've got here. Just to summarize, Sunni Defence, or Wahhabi Defence as they are back again. Our good old friend Baba Fariduddin Gangu Teli is back. Those of you who tuned in previously and saw my refutations of him, well, Gangu Teli is now back. That's Fariduddin, Baba Fariduddin Gangu Teli of Wahhabi Defence. And some people said, look, in your previous refutations, trying to defend him, they said that, look, you know, how dare you say these things about them? They never really ever said anything disrespectful or blasphemous against the Prophet. And that's not true. And they said that you need to justify this kind of claim that you said. And I'll play. Look, the first thing that they actually said, this was their first refutation against me. Right, so
he's basically rejecting the evidence that emphasizes the human nature of the Prophet. I mean, what's wrong with the Prophet ﷺ getting sick and getting sexually impotent? Really, is that like a criteria for him being a prophet? That he's, you know, sexually active and sexually...
This was the Sunni Defence first refutation against me. That what's wrong with the Prophet being sexually impotent? That is it a criteria of his prophethood that he has to be sexually active? This is the ridiculous, blasphemous, Wahhabi, Najdi kind of attitude that we're dealing with. So you can already see, so that's not, you know, when somebody said to me that, oh, you know, you said this about these people and they've never said anything like that. Yeah. That's not true.
So he mentioned, you know, the hadith about Musa running around naked so people could see his testicles, you know, hadith Sihr al-Nabi. And you know what he said is that the Prophet, he said, you know, you guys believe that the Prophet was so incapable that a Jew put black magic on him. I mean, which is
and then he has this other one as well where he's saying there that he's attacking, like he's criticizing, that I'm criticizing these hadith that in Bukhari that the Prophet Moses ran around naked so people can see his testicles, and they're defending, like they're saying, like, what's his problem criticizing that, like, and then they go on to say, and this is on YouTube, this is their thing on YouTube, it isn't even my thing. This is the kind of ridiculous, blasphemous kind of Wahhabi defense that they are, that, and they then coming and attacking, obviously they were gonna attack people like me. So this guy, one of the key people amongst them, Farid, who I referred to in one of our previous sessions as Baba Fariduddin Gangu Teli. So Gangu Teli Saab, our Bahrainian person is back now. And look, I want to make something clear. Gangu Teli Sahib, Sayyid Gangu Teli. نعم. لو سمحت, if you can انتبه لو سمحت, right? If you could just pay attention, right? Instead of going on about me being a jahil, me not knowing this, me not knowing this, even though first of all those criticisms are refuted because they do a cut and paste job, they're just stupid. Him trying to say, oh, look, a slip of the word here, oh, he said, oh, he doesn't know, oh, he's a jahil, he must be an antichrist, must be a dajjal. Shut up! Stop running away. This same topic that he's trying to defend, marital rape, he's trying to say that the Prophet said that a woman has no right to refuse sex to a husband. This hadith only comes down predominantly, the chains I've quoted come down through A'mash, through Qatada, Mudallisin. Stop running away with this nonsense. Bring me one Sahih hadith. One Sahih hadith that cannot be criticized. One. Stop this. If I'm such a jahil, then you should be able to bring one hadith. Bring one. Then we'll talk. Bring one hadith. Forget all this trying to distract. No. I know these tactics. These Najdi tactics of yours. Blaspheming people, hateful, carry hatred against the prophets. Stop all this nonsense. Bring me one Sahih hadith. Since I'm a jahil, since I'm a dajjal, I'm a jahil, I don't know what I'm talking about. Bring me one hadith about this that justifies this rape from the Prophet, that cannot be criticized. I will rip and show you where that hadith carries weakness and ilal. Bring me one. Do not run away from this question. Do not change the topic. Bring one hadith. One hadith. And if you need help, go to your ulama of Najd. Get them together, compile them, gather them together and tell them to help you bring one hadith that justifies this marital rape, going back to the Prophet, that cannot be criticized. Then we can speak. Bring one. Since I'm going on about me being a jahil, whether I'm a jahil or not is irrelevant. This kind of blasphemy is not attributed to our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You bring me one hadith that cannot be criticized. The chain I'm talking about. Show me one hadith. Stop trying to change the discussion, change the topic. Oh, he doesn't know Sulaiman al-A'mash. I use his name, Sulaiman al-A'mash. And the point I was making there was actually about Shu'bah. And yes, if trying to distract this topic by saying, by pausing a video, my point in that clip, he brings this clip and saying, oh, he doesn't know Sulaiman. My point in that was simply to say, because Shu'bah is somebody who claims tadlis is haram. He claims tadlis is haram. People might say, oh, Shu'bah is in this chain, so this ought to be okay. But the person transmitting from him is problematic. That was the point, which he conveniently pauses, by the way. Forget all of this. Forget. I'm a dajjal, a jahil. I don't know this. Anybody who studied usul al-hadith, mustalah al-hadith for 1 week knows more than Mufti Abu Layth. Well, fine. Bring one hadith. One hadith. No. One hadith. One. Don't change the topic. Don't run away. It's murawagatul kilab, like this. Don't dodge, like go round and round like these dogs do, right? That's an Arabic ibara. Don't do that. Bring one hadith, okay? Don't distract. Idhar udhar ki na baat kar, ye bata ke kafila kyun luta. Mujhe rahzanon se gila nahi, teri rahbari ka sawal. Don't tell me about this or that or whatever. You explain how this caravan got robbed. Huh? It's not about the thieves or the robbers or the bandits. How are you a leader of this caravan? That is what the poet says. So, idhar udhar ki na baat kar, ye bata ke kafila kyun lota. You bring me one hadith and then we'll talk. And if you've got the nerve to rise to my challenge, after that, this is a challenge, by the way, challenge. My brother, my brother, my Najdi brother. This is a challenge. So, if you can, first of all, rise to this, bring me one hadith. That should be easy, yeah? That cannot be criticized. Bring it. Bring it. Hatu burhanakum in kuntum sadiqeen. Sitting right here, as Maulana Yunus Nomani said. Amazing person, may Allah have mercy on his soul. A Munazir from Pakistan said, either they are sitting right here. यहीं बैठे हुए हैं not going in. You bring one hadith. And then rise to my second challenge. Prove to me that Sahih al-Bukhari can be traced back to its author. Prove it. This one above your pay grade, my friend. This one, you and all, you can gather the whole of Wahhabidom and put it together. And bechare, unki bhi hawa nikal jayegi. This one big challenge, this one big problem, you know. Gangu Teli, fi big problem. It's a big problem, you know. So I'm waiting. So first, bring me a Sahih hadith. Secondly, prove to me, how can you prove to me, beyond reasonable doubt, Sahih Bukhari going back to its author, but back to Imam Bukhari. Can you prove it? Can you prove it? Hell no, you can't. What manuscripts are you going to prove it from? Sultaniya? Based on the Uniniya? Oh, the Sultaniya, which is, people, for your information, which based a lot of what it did on the Uniniya of, you've got Shihabuddin al-Unini, al-Ba'li al-Hanbali, from the 700 Hijri, 8th century, he passes away. But we don't have a manuscript even of the Uniniya. We have a far'un from it, somebody who copied it from him. Did he make a mistake? Is that what we're going by? And then the Uniniya, which disagrees with the others, riwayat, and what is he going through? Al-Hamawi? Is he disagreeing with Mustamli? Is disagreeing with the other riwayat of Sarakhsi? Is disagreeing with... And Farabri, what about Farabri? I mean, why did nobody consider him reliable in hadith up until hundreds of years after him? This one, big problem. Why does Mustamli say that Farabri had a copy of Bukhari which was incomplete? And he had parts of it were musawwada, were incomplete, and we used to move them around, which was endorsed by Abu Walid al-Baji and Qastalani. Es muy interesante. And what does Abu Walid al-Baji say? Abu Walid al-Baji says that it's interesting. Mustamli says, كان عنده أصل ننتسخ منه. He had one copy we all used to copy from, and yet they all got it different. And then the interesting case of Saghani. Oh, you naughty. You may say. Saghani is another person who comes hundreds of years after, who claims to have the actual copy of Farabri. Wah, Saghani. Saghani was born in Lahore. He was actually. Saghani was a Hanafi scholar born in Lahore. And he claimed to have found an actual copy hundreds of years after Farabri, by the way. Nobody else has seen this copy. But he claims it. Obviously, Lahore, eh? He goes, well, I found an actual copy. And then his copy has Gharaib, which none of the other copies of Bukhari have. Wah, Saghani, wah. And so where is this one big problem, you know? Where is this? How do we prove this one? You know, how do we prove this one? So I still eagerly await. So these are challenges, first of all, to the Wahhabi defense team. And then by extension to anybody who wants to place Sahih Bukhari as a god and to make Allah and His Messenger revolve around Sahih Bukhari, they need to prove this actually belongs to Imam Bukhari to start off with. Because see, what they didn't tell you is they told you from Imam Bukhari to the Prophet. What they didn't tell you is how this book then comes to us. Because all of the transmitters of Bukhari's, their copies seem to disappear. Ooh, mystery. Ooh. One person remains, Farabri, who seems to be unknown by his contemporaries. But 200 years later, somebody says, what a guy. Somebody 200 years later, Abu Sa'ad al-Sam'ani says, this Farabri great. But before him, no news. We don't know, who this Farabri is. We know who, but nobody vouching for him. So this one, big problem. And then the copies that go throughout the world all disagree with themselves. Hadith missing, hadith less, patched together. We've got cut and paste job going on. How many hands are copying? We've got no idea. His own Farabri student saying, by the way, his copy was incomplete. We used to move things around in it. We used to place chapter headings. All this nonsense about Bukhari's fiqh is in his chapter headings. Mustamli says we used to make the chapter. Wah. So somebody might ask here, why am I opening this can of worms to do with Bukhari? And this isn't just Bukhari, the other books as well, by the way. Sahih Muslim, and these have problems as well, because the Sahih Muslim is based on the Istanbul transcript, which has its own problems. But right now, we want to focus on Bukhari. Because the reason I'm doing this is to show we need to return to the methodology that was taught to us by Imam Malik. And Imam Malik taught us in his Muwatta. He taught us through fiqh. This was the practice of Medina. He taught us that we will never be sound in this deen until we learn to accept and reject hadith. So you must accept some and you must reject some. This is the way, this is the balanced path of this ummah. Imam Malik places hadith in his Muwatta and says, we don't accept this hadith. Imam Malik himself says, if you start accepting every one after one, or these isolated narrations, he says the entire deen will be snatched from you. This is the teaching of Imam Malik. The other interesting thing is that the deen was already preserved through fiqh. How you practice Islam was already preserved. And is this an attempt? Somebody may say, well, why don't we just get rid of all of hadith? The question is, hadith contain a lot of useful detail that add color to this deen. And they are important. And we know through corroboration that not all hadith are false. We know that because they corroborate through independent sources and they fit in with the Quranic teachings, with the principles of Islam. So if hadith come to us and the hadith are simply about rules and things like this, or how to practice Islam, if they do not go against reason, as Ibn al-Jawzi and all these scholars before us in hadith had said, Ibn Hazm, that they do not clash with reason, they do not go against the Quran, they do not go against the clear sources that have been transmitted, the corroborated sunnah that has come through like the amal of Ahlul Madinah in Imam Malik, or that has been preserved through fiqh or through corroborated hadith, and they do not uproot a principle of Islam, then they have no problem. Okay? They have no problem. Otherwise, it is a problem. And we need to take them with a pinch of salt. Okay? Because some of these some of these hadith insult Islam. And they cannot be authentic. So, okay. So,